If you want to get into breeding reptiles but you don't know where to start, well, here are 7 reptiles that are way too easy to breed. Number 1 on the list is crested geckos. Now, crested geckos are some of the most easiest species to get breeding just because of their care requirements. They're the very first species that I ever got to breed. It was as simple as putting 2 geckos together, separating them after a week, and after that, I got a bunch of babies. Of course, you're going to want to do your own research and kind of go in depth into the actual care of breeding geckos. I would say that the most important parts of breeding geckos would just be making sure that the enclosure is big enough so that the male or female gecko can get away, because they are kind of nippy once they get together. That's kind of in their mating practice, and making sure that the female has a place to lay her eggs. After that, you're going to incubate the eggs for about 2 months in the same type of temperatures that you keep the parents anyways, and then boom, you've just created life.
I've been present for the birth of every little creature on this island.
Now, the only reason that I really wouldn't breed crested geckos is because everybody is breeding crested geckos. I mean, I went to the Sacramento Reptile Show the other week, and there's crested geckos everywhere on every single table. Same thing as ball pythons, same thing as leopard geckos. Nothing against them, I absolutely love them, but there's just such a saturated market that I don't really see a reason to breeding them. If it comes to the point where in my local area there is a demand for crested geckos, then I probably would breed them. Number 2 on the list is mourning geckos. Now, mourning geckos are basically a copy and paste gecko. You put 2 or 3 together, get the right husbandry in, and then the rest is history. They will pop out eggs like every 2 months for the rest of their lives. I myself have 2 mourning geckos. I have a type A and a type B. Type C I didn't know was a thing, and now I want a type C. If you've ever watched Star Wars and you love the clone troopers, well, get yourself some mourning geckos, because every single one is going to look exactly like their mama. The reason why is because they are a parthenogenic animal. Males do exist in the wild, but they're probably harder to find than gold, and those that you do find are not usually fertile. Number 3 on the list is leopard geckos. Now, I've never bred leopard geckos, but I did keep some, and one time my female leopard gecko actually laid some infertile eggs just because she had never been with a male before. All you need is the right husbandry, a box for them to lay their eggs in, and their male counterpart. The really cool thing about leopard geckos, though, is that they are sex-determinate temperatures when incubating eggs. So if you want to breed a female, there's a certain temperature that you put them at, and if there's a need for male leopard geckos, then you incubate them at that temperature, and there you go. You have your male and female geckos. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could do that with snakes too? I'm getting into breeding hognose snakes, and it would be really cool to be able to know what temperature I can put them at, because I would want all female hognose snakes. Speaking about hognose snakes, number 4 on the list is hognose snakes. Now, this is a kind of a gray area for hognose snakes because they are in high demand, but there is a lot of people getting into hognose snakes, so I feel like the market is kind of balancing itself out the way that ball pythons have over time. The cool thing is that there's a lot of different morphs that hognose snakes are starting to explode in, and I feel like that's what's keeping the market in an upwards trend. So I think for now, hognose snakes are going to be pretty prevalent in the reptile community, in the expo community. I myself am getting ready to breed some to try to produce some snow hognose morphs. Even though that morph has been out for quite some time now, it is still an expensive animal, which tells me that there is still a high demand for those snakes. The only thing with keeping hognose snakes to breed them is make sure that your female's not going to eat your male, because let's say you just bought a Super Yeti, you just paired that bad boy up with a het snow female, and then you wake up the next morning to realize it's gone, and your female ate the other hognose snake. It is not an issue you want, especially as a beginner in hognose snakes, so always make sure that you're reading the signs, that you're feeding your female enough to know that it's not going to want to eat its potential mate. One of the upsides about breeding hognose snakes is that the females may double and sometimes triple clutch. Number 5 on the list is the garter snake. Now, garter snakes are getting more and more popular as the years progress. More people are getting into reptiles, and especially the red and blue. I'm not sure what they're called. I think they're called red and blue sided garter snakes or something like that. But they're a very beautiful species that is starting to get more and more prevalent as well. And this is a snake that stays on the smaller side, so you can cohab these animals. And in fact, a lot of people that breed them or just keep them recommend actually cohabbing this animal anyways. It is definitely a snake that is growing in demand, and I think will become more popular over time, especially with really cool colors coming out, like the albinos or that red and blue sided garter snake as well. Number 6 on the list, of course, is ball pythons. Now, I know you can skip to number 7 if you want, but ball pythons, I wanted to put them in this list because everybody breeds ball pythons. There's so many people that get into reptiles, and that's the first species that they actually breed and are successful with it. At the end of the day, ball pythons are kind of the king of reptiles still, because they are on every single website. Every single vendor at an expo has ball pythons to sell. They're friendly, they don't get too big. Demand has steadied, but there's so many morphs and combinations of every single morph that the lucrativeness of breeding ball pythons is still there. I don't know if that's a word. Lucrativeness. There you, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, it is a lot cheaper nowadays to be able to get a breeding pair that'll create bells or a breeding pair that'll create albinos, which is really cool because that is something that I always wanted to do. Back then, I did breed ball pythons just for about a year or two when I was little, but I quickly grew out of it just because it wasn't in my interest at the time. Something really cool nowadays about ball pythons is that there's genetic testing for them, as well as colubrids, but mainly ball pythons. Morph Market has actually partnered with a company, I don't know the name of it, but I'll put it right here, that actually does genetic testing. So let's say that you buy a pos het albino and you're really wanting to breed them, but you don't know if your pos het is actually het for albino. Well, I think it's the shed skin that you send out and a quick description of the reptile, and you can get an answer whether your pos het albino is actually albino or not. So I think that that's something groundbreaking, because now a lot of people that have been wanting to prove out their animals end up just doing the genetic testing, and now they can actually market their own animals as a het for albino or just a regular ball python. Number 7 on the list is Kenyan sand boas. Where are you going? Okay. Probably the number one reason that they are easier to breed is just because they don't require an incubator. They are oviviparous, which means that they actually give birth, not lay eggs. But there is a downside to this. If it is stressed out or is not receiving the nutrients that it needs, will absorb its own young. But I think Kenyan sand boas are pretty hardy and they don't have a lot of care requirements, so it's a lot easier for them to breed. They have anywhere from 10 to 30 live young when they give birth, so make sure that you have a rack big enough or a space big enough to keep all the babies while you're trying to sell them. There's not a bunch of morphs out there, but there is a lot of different pattern morphs that you can choose from, as long as you have a good market in your local area or on Morph Market itself. If you can get rid of them, go ahead and breed them, because they are going to produce a lot. Let me know what you thought about this list, and if you want to see others like it, go ahead and comment down below. Here's a few other videos that I've made that you really enjoy. You guys have a nice day.